It wasn't in the script.
I rest my freaking case.
I can't recall whether it was fun. You don't want Claudia angry at you. Yeah, it was fun. Next question.
Good afternoon. I first got to see Farscape through this Christmas because of a friend of mine from Russia.
Listen to you.
And she explained that Russia has a huge following for Farscape. And incidentally, they'd love it if you do a convention out there sometime in Moscow. Not now with the fires and the smoke, but sometime sooner.
Sometime in the winter?
Yeah. They need something to keep them cheerful. But one thing she pointed out is there's actually a lot of Russian imagery in Farscape. The peacekeeper symbol, the white silhouette on black with the red triangle, was the symbol for one of the armies during the revolution.
Yes, it was a Bolshevik symbol. Yeah.
And in the 1812 episode, you were basically playing the character of Foolish Ivan, this Russian folk hero who somehow keeps screwing up but everything comes right for him. Was this something sort of intentionally briefed up?
Yeah, I played that character for the whole series. What was the question?
Well, I was asking if it was deliberate or a writer's in-joke, but it sounds like it was deliberate.
The imagery, yes, Ricky Ayers did a direct lift on that one for the Peacekeeper symbol. Yeah, and so the Peacekeeper, a lot of the patterning and ideas behind the Peacekeepers were sort of taken out of that propaganda style of art from basically the 20s and 30s that the Russians were using. So I believe that was a conscious decision. Yes.
Thank you very much.
That's why the Russians love us. Have you ever been to Russia?
No.
I believe it. Anybody here been to Russia? Yeah?
A few. Actually, a few people.
Is it worth going?
Yeah? St. Petersburg. Architecture is gorgeous. Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
I like to use these things as an educational
Yeah.
way to bridge communities and cultures.
Vladivostok's. Has anybody been there? Apparently it's the closest one to the west, and nobody's been there. Okay, so just curious.
Americans need to travel more.
Yeah. We need more holidays. And Australia doesn't need to. I think you only get 2 weeks. Do you get 2 weeks?
Yeah.
If I got 2 weeks, I'd be at home on the couch too. I wouldn't want to move anywhere. I mean, gee.
I love to
We get
travel.
more, I think.
I want someone to take me to Barbados.
You know there's always going to be a taker when you say that.
I don't know, most Americans just want a job. Once we get a job, we want a vacation.
Okay, hi. My question's for Ben.
Yes.
I wanted to know what your thought process was when writing Don Quixote, and how it may have differed when you were writing the Stargate episode Bad Guys. The differences between writing.
Right, so the question is, what was my thought process when writing Don Quixote?
Or if there even was one. Nothing.
Or anything else. Like writing emails. No, I did not. John Quixote, for those of you who haven't seen the episode, was an episode where John was basically in a virtual game run by Stark, or an incarnation of Stark. And he was stuck in it in a cycle, looping through back and forth until he finally figured out how to win the game, as it were. When I was writing it, I was interested in that, but I was also importantly interested in the lies that John was kind of telling himself about what was important, or what he believed was important, and how that interacted with the game. I also wanted to bring Virginia back on the show. Because, unlike some sci-fi shows, death is permanent on Farscape.
Yeah, that's season 3, yeah.
She was dead. You just thought she was dead. But we did actually lose characters, and Zan was such a beautiful addition to the show, and Virginia did such a wonderful job with it. Then I really wanted to find a way to bring her and that mythology that Zan had and how important she was to John back to the show. So the most common comment that I got,
Look at you, just...
the most common comment I got about it when people read the script was, "What have you been smoking?" I thought it was just kind of normal. And it is one of those heavily divisive episodes, I think, where if someone tuned into that episode for the first time they saw Farscape, there were probably a lot of stoners out there that went, "I gotta watch this show." That's awesome, man. Where did I get this on DVD? But your discerning hardcore sci-fi fan was thinking, what am I watching? But as far as writing in general, I did not like the episode that I'm credited with story by on Stargate.
Really?
I'm clear about that. There's a difference between story by and writing. The episodes I wrote on Farscape, I wrote every single word. From beginning to end, I did all the rewrites. If rewrites were needed, I would write them the night before. So that, those I wrote. The Stargate episode, I had a story idea. I gave it to the guys. I didn't expect them to use it. They used it. I said, fine. And then they said, we have to credit you. And I go, you don't have to credit me. But they wanted to credit me. So, my involvement in that was just pitching an idea, not actually doing the writing, which is really a very difficult job on any show. So,
Thank you.
long answer. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask Rayleigh, of all the scenes or sequences that you were in, what was your favorite?
I really loved working with Wayne. I did. As soon as I joined the cast, I thought, oh, this guy he's such the man for me. I thought Wayne concocted such a wonderful, one of the all-time great villains. I was talking about this yesterday in the panel. And so, yeah, I kind of planted a couple of seeds in the writers' heads. I kind of flirted with him a little bit, threw him a couple of glances, went Sputnik to him. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I also enjoyed working any of the wise stuff I got to do. I didn't get to do an awful lot of it, but all that walking on walls stuff, it's so otherworldly. I mean, on what other show are you ever going to be able to do that kind of stuff? So yeah, the real physical stuff was heaps of fun on Farscape. Really lucky. Dramas, it just doesn't happen. Science fiction, Farscape, we got to play like that. It was a real gift. Really lucky. They were the favourites. They were the standouts. The other ones, the other ones when we all got together, we all got to play together. I really liked that too. The whole cast in Moya there in Command, I thought they were fun too. Lots of antics. Antics with Anthony. Oh gee, antics, yes.
Just on the topic of Wayne, I was curious, Ben, if you worked with him to come up with an impression of him, or did you just stay at home and bust out your Scorpius one day?
Staying at home busting out your Scorpius. I'm busting Scorpius out right here. My pocket. Bust out your Scorpius. I think we can leave that one there. Best answer I've ever had. I did work with Wayne on that. I did. I invited him over to the house. I said, Wayne, bust out your Scorpions. Next question.
How do you follow that? I just got into the show and I really like it. It's funny that you mentioned the last episode I left off on before coming here was the one where Zan exploded and died.
Exploded and died.
That was all her own stunt, too.
But My question is, I've been I'm a real big fan of the show, but I've been a fan of Jim Henson's for my entire life, and I'm wondering if you guys were too, and how it was like to work with all of the puppets from Henson in the workshops.
It's amazing. You go first.
Yeah, extraordinary. Yeah, of course. I was a fan of everything that I saw of Jim Henson's, all of his creations, movies, Muppets, Sesame Street, so forth, Dark Crystal. Loved his work. Jim Henson Company, Creature Shop, sheer genius. And what's it like to work with the Muppets? Muppets! Animatronic characters. No, incredible. Really extraordinary to work with them.
I mean, did they just become? Were you always just? Did you think of them as characters themselves? Or
Yeah.
Just
Well, you have to,
with the
really.
puppeteers.
You have to think of them as real characters, because if we don't believe that they're characters, then you won't either. But it was really beautiful to watch them, because it was like a choreography. That all these people, sometimes 5, 8 people, in order to create one entity, all moving almost in slow motion. It's very eerie and beautiful to watch them create each character. It was fascinating for us.
Oh no, I completely agree. It was amazing to work with the creatures. They were beautiful, and it was a dance. You watch them all. They just out of sight of the camera there underneath you. You got to be careful not to tread on them. It was a dance between us and them. And as Virg said, you do have to you believe that they're real, otherwise you won't. They were just more cast members. It was great. I was terrified to work with Brian. Absolutely terrified for the stats symbol thing.
No, he's a scary guy.
I couldn't, he's absolutely gorgeous. Oh, God. No, it wasn't until the rap party that I could look at him in the eye and go, yes, Mr. Henson, yes, Mr. Henson. Oh. But no, he was great to work with, he was. Shush you.
Hi, I was wondering, Farscape seemed like it was such a fun show to be working on, and I was wondering if there were any kind of behind-the-scenes antics or anything that was just kind of fun going on.
Yes. In a word. Lots of antics.
Anthony Simcoe, who played Dargo. It seems like every sci-fi show they have a big guy, this studly warrior, who is the prankster on set, who is the one driving the humor and comedy. I guess because they're being stoic all the time, it's like letting the lid off of a can of Coke that you shook up or something. And Ant was that way. He has this effusive, huge personality. For those of you who've seen him on stage, you know what we're talking about. He just had this tremendous energy. But it's a huge burden wearing prosthetics and makeups. And in spite of that, Anthony would come in and he would just do the most insane things. But the one sort of quintessential vision of Anthony that you get, by the time we got to the 3rd season, in the 1st season they put Anthony in his prosthetics and it was all one piece, he never got out of it. And so he's locked in this massive rubber bit, and they would sort of wheel him on the set and wheel him on. And in the 2nd season, we were working in very hot sheds at Homebush in Sydney, Australia, and he literally fainted from exhaustion and dehydration, and they hauled him off in an ambulance. And so they came back and they said, we got to figure out a way to fix this. So his costume gradually got whittled down, his makeup got whittled down, so by the final year, he would show up to set for rehearsals wearing his eyebrows, his chin, his nose, and that was it. There was no, costume? No. Headpiece? No. It was just Dargo's face would show up on this big blokey Australian dude. And he would stand around in his flip-flops and a pair of boxer shorts. And that's it. And you rehearse the scene, and then go, Dargo up. And 15 minutes later, Dargo would appear in full battle regalia, and everybody would do his thing, and then as soon as they called cut, Dargo down! And they would strip him down again, and there's Dargo up Australian in his shorts.
He was very funny. But there was always a lot of talk of butter and Last Tango in Paris with with Dargo, with Anthony. One person said, thank you very much.
Butter
Butter.
and Last Tango in Paris.
Yes. Don't you remember? He used to talk about what he would do to the marauder chicks, exactly, in detail, and it always involved butter.
Oh, yeah.
On your close-up, he's here, he's fine, that's great.
Yeah.
You're here trying to keep a straight face.
Next question.
Hello, this question is primarily for Ben, but I'd love to hear Virginia and Rayleigh's take on it too. If Crichton could have somehow seen before he went through the wormhole all that would happen for good or for ill on the other side, would he have gone through? Would he have done the Farscape maneuver in the first place? And for the other two, if they had known what would happen, would they have wanted him to come through?
You guys can take part B first. Would Crichton have gone through if he'd known what was going to happen? If the enduring image was the last image of Peacekeeper Wars, yes. But there are many points along his journey that if you stop the image there, there's no way. But at the end of the day, yeah, I think that, that it's a huge, grand adventure. And it's also important from a storytelling standpoint that I think the audience wanted to go along with John. They wanted to be there. It's very important in the story that, you began with John, I'm just looking for a way home. But him finding his home is the real story. That's the real story. It's the story that all of us have, particularly in America where we all run off to different parts of the world or different parts of the country and our families are fractured. And it's the thing which resonates with me personally. I think it resonates with a great number of people. That the journey of our life is creating a home. It's creating a family. Because our parents are going to die at some point. We're going to lose friends along the way. But how you create a home, how you create a family is his journey. So I think absolutely he would go, and I think that's the journey that was crafted for him. It's the journey that the audience in large part relates to.
Absolutely.
I don't think the others would want him to come along with. Particularly Zan and no way Sikozu.
We loved observing the John Crichton character. We found him charming, and Zan definitely fell in love with him at the time. She adored him as White Hairs, for sure.
Can I interrupt for just a second? Hi, Ben. I'm Jen. I'm the director for Stargate Next Door. We're having our charity auction, and I was told y'all wanted to know what the heck was going on. We've just passed $32,000 for the year.
Wow!
And that's not counting the art show tomorrow, and we're not even halfway done with our charity auction. So that's what's going on. Thank you.
That's brilliant.
Okay, next.
Hi, I wanted to thank you guys for coming out. Virginia, I had a chance to talk with you yesterday about what personal parts of your life you infused into the character of Zan. And Ben, I'm a Tar Heel as well, and so I was able to recognize a lot of the stuff in the show that was local flavor there. And I was just curious what other elements really came through that influenced your character, and how much was you and how much was them, how much was the writers sort of directing?
Was that directed at me?
I'd love to hear everybody's answer.
Yeah, how much was Ryder and how much was us? Virginia?
Well, I think 90% was, of course, Zan was created by the writers, so 90%. I think I probably, over the time, had 10% influence, 10% icing on the cake, I call it. Just adding little bits and pieces, thoughts, movements. When they said Zan chants, Zan prays, Zan heals, I just add little things from my past into her. But I think it was 90% written by the writers, of course. 10% me.
When I arrived, my character was a little bit ambiguous, and we kind of incorporated that into Sokoza. It was quite fun, never knowing which side she was going to bat for. At the end, she was going to bat for the side that she thought was going to win. She was not a loyalist at all. So, yeah, I don't tend to intellectualize too much about my characters. I don't tend to think too much about them. I just sort of run on instinct, I guess. And I also I've never fully understood the whole you become your character thing either. That doesn't work for me either, that doesn't translate for me. So I bring out certain personalities in myself, certain characteristics and personal characteristics, traits in myself to sort of slot into a particular character. And for Sokozu, she was very arrogant, and she was very patronising, and she was very steely, and I've got all of that in myself to varying degrees, and so I just sort of amped those particular attributes up. And as I said, in the early days it was very murky, it was quite ambiguous, we didn't know quite where she was going to sit. So, did I contribute in the writing? They were very open on Farscape to go into the writer's office. They welcomed you with open arms. They were always looking for new ideas. So that was fantastic, because a lot of shows don't do that. Not so much verbally, I didn't spend too much time in the writer's room, but as I was talking about before with the Scorpius thing, I kind of dropped those seeds just in the performance within other scenes. I sort of threw a glance here and the writers picked up with it and ran with it. So yeah, to a certain extent I did kind of build with the writers the character, yeah.
In the beginning, the character is a creation of a writer. He sits in a dark room, he puts the words down on paper, and he imagines this guy, or this girl, or this alien, and this world that is going to be presented to an actor who comes into a room, and that influences what Rock sees, and then what David saw when he was there. And then the directors would come in and say, what about this and what about that? And you have other writers that come in, and you have production designers that come in. And then one day the whole cast sits together and they read the words, and they're face to face for the first time, and what you're wearing changes the character. What that story is changes the character. The idea that the guy who runs the generator for the lights feeds in your ear one day, you go, oh, that's a really good idea, I'm going to use that. I think that John Crichton is, to that point, a collaboration of thousands of voices and thousands of ideas, and I become a kind of cipher. Certainly my experiences and my training and whatever else it is that I have that I bring to it, my voice, whatever little nugget that's in the back of my brain that suddenly I'm going to say, it influences the character. But the final analysis is when it is presented to an audience and how you perceive that character. It only exists, John Crichton only exists with an audience, within the context of a story which is told by thousands of people who sweat day in and day out. The crew on Farscape was amazing. The cast had ridiculous commitment to it. When it was canceled, the crew cried. Crews never give a crap about a show. They're working on it, they care about the paycheck. The crew cried when it was canceled because they cared that much about the story we were telling, about what we were presenting, but at the end of the day, John Crichton belongs to the audience, and you know, to the degree that even today we feel that back and forth, you know, he exists, but my slice of John Crichton, you know, it's that much, and John Crichton is that much, and John Crichton is something, you know, that you guys all bring to it. And the individual ideas, as they pop up and become this thing, it's a miracle, I think. It's a miracle it exists. But he's a credit to great writing and to tremendous commitment from thousands of people and to an audience that sat patiently and watched him develop and grow and fall and get up again. So that's my answer.
Beautiful.
So I probably, like everyone here, was very upset when the series ended. But at the same time, I've always thought that Peacekeeper Wars was one of the best series wrap-ups that I've ever seen because it did such a good job of tying loose ends and also showing things that were only hinted at in the past. Like you got to see a Luxon strike team be badass. You found out what peacekeepers were called peacekeepers. And they did so much of that and wrapped everything up so well that I was always really impressed with that. But my question is, of everything that was done, is there a storyline for each of you or something that was hinted at that you would have liked to have explored more but never got a chance to?
Yeah, I would have liked to have explored the relationship between Stark and Zan, really, very much so. But that ripped me apart, not being able to pursue that any further. So that definitely for me.
I probably would have liked to have had more S&M scenes of Scorpions. But that's just that's just kind of
Not the warning to watch it.
Speaking of Stark, yeah, when I got to play Stark, how much do we adore Paul? Oh, we adore Paul. When I got to play Stark, I really loved that. It was so nice to be given, be given the gift of one character in a show, and then what do you know? 6 months down the track, you get to play him, and you'll play a completely different character within the show, only sci-fi. So yeah, that would have been fun to come to play there so much more. Yeah, no, probably just some more work with Wayne. I really did enjoy working with him, not necessarily listening and stuff. But no, probably to get the opportunity. We only really got together, we started working closer together right at the end of the series, so it would have been fun to see where that would have travelled some more. So.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy my S&M stuff with Wayne quite so much. I mean, he was practicing on me long before she came along. Find the skills. Butter. I was very lucky. I got to play so much that I don't really have any regrets about what I had to do. I'm sure that there are moments that are missing in that journey of John Crichton to that point. I'm far more interested in wondering what he's doing today. I want to know. I'm going to continue to harass Brian about that.
Hello, my name is Talia, and I just want to say big up from Trinidad and Tobago. I think when Farscape was cancelled, I was the only one in the country crying. But my question is about season 3, the Crichton dynamic.
Yes.
What would have happened if Crichton hadn't died in season 3 and there were two Crichtons?
The question is, I'm being reminded that I'm on DC10sun. If we had 2 Crichtons in one Aaron, what would have happened? Now, for those of you who haven't gotten to season 3, just go ahead and close your ears. It's a really good storyline. You don't want to hear about it just yet. I can't believe we've given away anything from season 4. While I'm at it, how many of you are still progressing through 1, 2?
No, we got more.
Just show of hands. You guys haven't gotten through to the end of the show yet.
Wow.
Okay, well, if you haven't gotten through, you have to leave now. We're selling stuff over in Stargate. But it's for charity, so it's a good thing. The question is what would have happened if... Close your ears. I'm serious. What would have happened? What would have happened if John hadn't died? Wow. Honestly, I think there'd be one psychotic, villainous John running around the universe because he was getting very bitter and twisted. Okay? And what's most fascinating and dangerous about that storyline is that they're both the same guy. They really are both the same guy. And it kind of shows you how a story or your life can go in that moment can go in two different directions. What happens if you don't meet the right person? What happens if you don't turn left? What happens if? So, but that's what science fiction does well. It does the big if. And this is one of those big ifs that we ask ourselves throughout our life. What happened if I didn't go to school here? What happens if? Because our life is filled with these what if moments. Well, here on screen for over half a season, at risk of getting canceled immediately, at the risk of disenfranchising an entire audience who's going to invest in one John over another John, humongous risk-taking in the storytelling. We now have the real what-if question, and you saw what happened. And I think that's really cool. Now, if they both lived, I think that one of them might have gone very, very bad.
Yes.
Just my opinion.
If it might have been a case, Eric just quit any mini move.
Really, life sometimes comes down to that. And so, if you're happy in your life and you're happy with your relationships and you have healthy children and a good family around you, you can count yourself very, very lucky.
First, I'd like to say this is my first con. All of my best experiences have been with the Farscape cast, so thank you guys very much. My question is for Ben. The episode where you guys were switching bodies every 5 minutes or so. Definitely one of my favorites. And I wanted to know which character was the most challenging for you to play and which was your favorite one to play.
Rigel was the most challenging. You realize how difficult it is to be a puppeteer. Reach up. Get yourself top. You guys did the voice for me. Rigel was the most difficult, but it was also the most fun because there was a wonderful sort of freeing thing about Rigel. He's such a snotty little bastard. Next question.
My question is Virginia. How does translate? The episode in the first season when you're in you visited your people and you went to the priest and he asked you, he was challenging you, and his question is, how does translate? It's like calling you a coward, basically.
Oh, like a chicken.
Yes.
Is that what you're doing? That's very cryptic, that one. It translates as, we're not selling bananas today. We're not growing bananas.
That was one of my chants.
That was one of your chants, literally.
Yeah.
Do
you know, I didn't actually hear the question clearly, and I have no idea what you're talking about. Someone tell me.
In the episode where you visited your
Delvia?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You were it was the corrupted tree that was poisoning all the people.
Yeah.
And she took your powers, so to get them back, John challenged you to go into unity.
Yes.
And the way he challenged you was to make an unusual noise of calling you a coward. So I was just curious how did that translate?
The question was, John went,
Yes.
And that's chicken, meaning...
How did you know what that was? Given the micro, you know what? That's a writer question.
Yeah, I should have said that. That's a writing question.
And that's a writer question when you're a writer up here.
Yeah. No, he was just calling me a coward and challenging me. The bark 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 just means cow.
Those translated microbes are amazing. Hell, I don't understand John half the time.
Okay, my question is for all of you. How did you all get involved in Farscape? And was it anything you expected?
I auditioned for Farscape. It was nothing like what I expected. Big damn hat. Everybody turn around and look at this real quick.
Big hat. We're just seeing a silhouette of people.
Nice hat. It's got to be the hat.
I tested for Farscape, I was a latecomer. I'd heard about this production being filmed in Sydney, and every now and again I'd come across a friend who worked on it, and they all came off going, wow, it's so much fun, you get to do this, that, and the other. So yeah, I was really looking forward to the opportunity to working on it, because I had the benefit of hearing what a blast they're all having.
And I auditioned for it in the very beginning, and went through the process with everyone else of trying to find our characters. It was very exciting, you know, particularly the first, say, 7 episodes. Scary, fabulous, exciting. And yeah, it was everything and more that I expected. Seriously, it was incredible.
Thank you.
Welcome.
How much time do we have left?
An hour.
That's what I thought. We got an hour left. Good. We ran out 5 minutes ago. Time is fickle. We have one last question, though, right? That was it?
Oh, we started late. Come on.
Okay, sorry. Ray Lee, you want to try this again?
Can I get